Who are you? Who are you? Who is Mr. Dan right here? Why is today a big deal to have you on at this point?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Also, if you don't mind, can you pull up the other video instead, the All Melons 2 Lap? Because that's the one that we're gonna be playing at least first anyway. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know which one we were doing actually.
That one's also not been seen before. That's my GDQ submission, so that's pretty cool too. I'm looking forward to showing it off.
Okay. My bad, bro. My bad.
Yeah. Right. So, I guess about me. My name is Dan Salvato, obviously. And I've been speedrunning Yoshi's Story for about 6 years now. So my speedrunning career predates all of my other hobbies and things that I'm mostly known for today. So it predates Franker Faces, it predates 20XX Tournament Edition, obviously predates Doki Doki Literature Club. So in a way, that was kind of like a piece of the puzzle that sort of started my career. And because of that, and also for other reasons, just passion, Yoshi's Story, speedrunning is something that's very important to me and something that I hope to continue doing for a very long time and continue, pushing the bar higher and the time lower.
Yeah, there we go. That's some good stuff. Yeah, I gotta say, man, it's pretty cool because you're definitely the one that got me woke. I will admit, to be totally transparent, I was one of the many, I'm sure you've heard this opinion, too often to count, where Yoshi's Story, it's kind of easy. I don't know, it's kind of a Babby mode speed game, isn't it? And then when I saw you play, I'm like, oh, whoa, here we go. Now
here's what's funny. It's almost true. Like I almost started speedrunning the game because of that mentality. And I don't even know if you knew that really, but back in, around 2013 when Yoshi's Island was at the absolute peak of its popularity, because Twitch was fairly new and like you were, speedrunning was, kind of a really big component of Twitch, right? Nowadays it's like tiny compared to what else we see, but back then it was like one of the main pillars of Twitch. And we had Siglemic, we had you, of course, Trihex, and we had Narcissa back then as Cosmo Wright. You guys were kind of like the big three, in the speedrunning world. So, I discovered you and I watched Yoshi's Island a lot. And I realized there's like this big community around Yoshi's Island. And when, for instance, Yoshi's Story came up, which I guess at the other time was, kind of the only other big like Yoshi Story console game or Yoshi console game. You guys, and again, I'm not like hating on anyone for this, but it was basically like Yoshi's Island was like the melee and Yoshi's Story was the brawl. Like that's kind of how you guys treated it.
No, and you're not wrong. That's why I'm owning up to it. I can admit when I'm wrong on a couple of things, but you definitely turned me around and then some. Like I'm like, yo, this is sick. And I can't wait to dive further into why, what changed for me, but also I'd love to hear what perhaps changed and enlightened you to be drawn into the game.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to diving in as well. But Yoshi's Story is a game that I first acquired when I was in kindergarten. I played it a lot back then when I was like a little kid, and just every now and then throughout my life, like I would revisit the game, and it was just a game that I generally enjoyed and, maybe one day wanted to get like full completion on. So, despite me having felt like I enjoyed Yoshi's Island more from a game design perspective, Yoshi's Story was like the one that was more sentimental to me and that I had put all the time in. And, you know how speedrunning works. It's like the games that you love the most or that mean the most to you. Speedrunning is a great way to like get more out of that game, and really squeeze everything you can out of it. So that's kind of what, Yoshi's Story was about for me. But there's one other really important factor, and that is when I looked up Yoshi's Story speedruns, there was nothing. And well, not literally nothing. There were like a couple any percent runs. But, Yoshi's Story any percent is literally 12 minutes long.
And this is, and you're not wrong there. That's the big part. That's probably what gave off the massive Babby impression to particularly me. I was like, the only category here is 80% apparently. What else are you going to do? I mean, you're going to play the game. You're going to play the game 4 times to unlock everything, I think. Or
yeah.
So
Yeah. So like that was the only category is 12 minutes, and that's because in Yoshi's Story you don't have to like the goal isn't to reach the end of the level. The goal is just to eat 30 fruits. So it's like which levels can you just eat 30 fruits like immediately and only see like 25% of the level, and then you play 6 out of the 24 levels and you beat the game. But isn't it sad from a speedrunner's standpoint that was like all of the game that was ever explored for speedrunning? Literally like a tiny sliver of the entire game. And, as someone who was really attached to the game, I felt that way. And so it really inspired me to, try to crack it open a little bit more and see what I can find and see if I can, devise sort of like 100% run that could be like really, really satisfying and I guess cool in the end. So around 2013, I got to work on that, and that's where it all started.
Okay. Well, dude, that was a sick introduction. Now you got me blue balled, ready to learn more. So, you tell me, man. You're steering a shoot today. You're the one excited to give me and all of us here tons of enlightenment on Yoshi's Story. So, should I play the run and then we go into the, or should I? I'm sorry, actually, should I screen share this on Discord and then we Oh wait. Okay, I'd have to call you back on the DM. This is gonna get stupid now. Okay, all right. So, sorry, y'all. We're going to lose the voice op little animation beneath my webcam right now in order to allow Dan to commentate in sync with what you're watching currently as well as me. So, we're gonna lose that frowny face, but it's for the greater good here. So
yeah, it won't be a big deal.
Yeah, it won't be a big deal. I agree. All right, so I'll call you back on DMs.
Sure.
All right. Ooh, sorry about that. We're already scuffed. All right. Let me know when.
All right, we're back.
Cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with the screen share. And 1 second. Let me just should be this one.
All right, cool. Yeah, that looks good.
Looks good.
Yeah. Before you play, because everyone in chat right now is at least familiar enough with Yoshi's Island, considering they've been watching your D-Rest runs. So for the sake of comparison and also giving a little bit of background info, let's talk about a couple places where Yoshi's Island shines and how Yoshi's Story differs a little bit from that in comparison. The first thing is probably if you had to name one element or mechanic of Yoshi's Island that is like the most important for speedrunning and I guess you could say general play experience, like what is the one special element that Yoshi's Island has that other platforms don't?
Making and shooting eggs. Or
that is correct.
Okay. So making sure. It seems like a really vague question right now.
Yeah. I knew it was vague, but I knew you would know the answer because that is it's fairly obvious that is one of the most important aspects. All the levels are designed around it. The speedrun has all these swag egg shots. Yoshi's Story, eggs got nerfed hard, man. It kind of sucks, but let me explain. In Yoshi's Story, you can't bounce eggs around. They only go as far as the crosshair is. So like a few feet from Yoshi, and once it reaches there, it just explodes. So that's what you have to deal with.
Oh,
however,
I didn't know that actually. Dang. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why Yoshi's Story doesn't have all the swag egg shots and stuff like that. However, what we gain is the tongue. Yoshi's Island is all about the eggs. Yoshi's Story is all about the tongue. We have some delicious 360-degree tonguing action all throughout the game. You can do a lot of cool stuff with the tongue that you can't do in Yoshi's Island. For instance, it is out for as long as you hold B. So if you just tap B really quickly, then you get like 1 frame of tongue. And that is used so much throughout the run. And I'll explain a little bit more as we jump into it.
So just to clarify that, when you said that, so there's like 0 cooldown lag on tongue. You hold B.
That's correct.
You hold B for a frame, you're getting tongue for a frame.
Yeah, the fast, you can tongue for as fast as you mash the B button. And coincidentally, or sort of as a result of that, and some other mechanics, Yoshi's Story ends up becoming probably one of the most button hash heavy games to speedrun out there, which you'll be seeing pretty shortly. But yeah, in general, this game is interesting because the analog stick reigns supreme. This is N64, first couple of years of N64, Nintendo's really excited about this brand new analog stick technology. So they want to try adopting all of their genres and make games around it, right? And so they did that for the 2D platformer with Yoshi's Story. You get like licking at any angle, 360-degree licking. You get swimming in 360 degrees. Your egg crosshair is controlled like on the analog stick anywhere around the screen. Like you use the stick to just put the crosshair wherever you want. You have fine control of your running speed. You can crawl, stuff like that. So like they really try to incorporate the analog stick really heavily in this game. And that makes the game feel like, like really analog and organic and sort of, I don't know, the best I could put it is like imprecise. Like it feels really, really slippery if you try to play it. But then like, because there's so much lag on Yoshi's movement, it feels like slippery and sticky at the same time. It's like really bizarre, especially coming from Yoshi's Island. That's like an issue in this game that early on we had to figure out how to get past, because everything in this game slows you down. Like if you lick, you stop moving. Mm-hmm. You charge an egg, you stop moving. Mm-hmm. You swallow, like when you're on the ground, you stop moving. Mm-hmm. And in this game, you can't hold stuff in your mouth. You swallow automatically whenever you eat something. So literally, and this game's about eating. So every time you eat, you have to make sure not to lag from swallowing. So when you're not used to it, and then fluttering, you lose speed. Ground pounding has a second of lag. Like you're spoiled with Yoshi's Island because you could just jump right out of the ground pound. You can't do that in Yoshi's Story. You have to suffer a second of lag. But even that, we have a way to negate the lag. So pretty much all of these actions in Yoshi's Story, all of these laggy actions, we have ways of negating the lag on all of those things, so we could just keep moving and not slow down.
Well, damn. Okay. Well, I'm excited to hear more here. But if I can, real quick here, you brought up 360 tonguing. I kind of want to elaborate on one minor thing about that. So what you're getting at here is that, like, kind of like a cat licking its own neck or whatever, Yoshi can just tongue, 360. He can tongue wherever he wants. If Yoshi's in the air, he can just like tongue under as well as left and right in any direction between those four. Correct?
Yeah, it's actually 180, so the direction you're facing, you can tongue from all the way up to all the way down, and even while your tongue is out, you can swing it around in any direction, and I use that too.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right, so now we understand that, yeah. So now just so y'all understand the picture here, the difference from that to Yoshi's Island is that Yoshi's tongue only goes 3 directions, left, right, or up. Big difference there.
Yeah.
It's not even a down. If Yoshi's in the air in Island, I can't tongue downward to go beneath me. That would open up new options if there was a thing. But yeah, Yoshi's Story has all that by comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, we can tongue down in Yoshi's Story, but remember, pushing down is ground pound, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to tongue downwards reliably, you have to tongue forwards and then swing your stick downwards so that the tongue it goes from forward to down in order to avoid ground pounding.
Oh, okay. Guys, so down tongues are an expensive thing. You gotta it's gotta be really worth doing to do it. Yeah, because it requires an earlier setup.
But no, you can do it instantly. It's just more inputs. This game is surprisingly.
Oh no, you're right. You said there's no tongue lag. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that kind of thing. I'm used to the tongue lag. So
you
got the buff the tongue buffs here. So I'm.
Yeah. But, those things that I mentioned, like all of the laggy movement options and the fact that we have lag reduction on all of them means that we have some really dense inputs and there's not really a wasted input. So with that background, I guess we can go ahead and get started here if you want to. All right, start playing the video.
Yeah. So you want to do the volume on mid to low and then let you just.
Yeah, you could probably just keep it on low volume.
All right.
Yeah.
And I don't have to even give a countdown because we're already synced up. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And this is All Melons 2 Lab. Melons are special because it's a collectible in this game. So finding all 30 melons in each level is kind of a way of doing full completion of Yoshi's Story. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to see me eat a couple enemies, but I jump high in the air to avoid the lag on the swallow. I want to make sure I'm not touching the ground. That's not the only way of reducing the lag, but that's one way. Now, when I throw eggs, Yoshi normally stops moving, but if you start charging an egg and jump and then release, then you can keep moving while you throw the egg. Now you're going to see me eat a melon through the floor and do a lagless ground pound right here. So when I ground pound these elephants, you'll notice that dust flies everywhere and there's about 1 second of lag before I can start moving again. When you have to do something like flip over the elephant, then you have to go through that laggy ground pound. But if you just need to uncover melons from underneath the ground, then there is a setup to do a lagless ground pound or a dustless ground pound, which is if you are right next to the ground when you ground pound, with literally within a few frames of hitting the ground and you ground pound, then there's no lag and you still get the melon. However, if you charge an egg right before touching the ground, it increases the frame window, which I'll explain when I have a little bit more time. But right here, you'll see me lick down, charge egg, ground pound, run forward, turn around, jump, eat the melon, and move on. So that's a really good example of like all the dense inputs that we have going on here.
No, I'm seeing you got the controller cam and everything right now. It's hot.
Yeah, so here's another lagless ground pound, and then here I'm going to be combining a couple egg shots with the lagless ground pound in order to keep moving. Yeah, so I'm always trying to, like, after I ground pound, I'm always running forward and then, like, eating the melon behind me. Like, you'll see it right here as well. And that's because Yoshi runs forward faster than he drifts forward, and so it's better to, like, start running forward immediately, even though it's, like, pretty precise to turn around and eat the melon without losing any speed, you know, because you just have to very lightly press the control stick in the opposite direction. But despite that technical aspect of it, it's still worth running forward to eat the melon first. So we do it one more time here, and we're almost done with 1-1, which is the easiest level in the game.
So now you'll see me reset the console to skip a cutscene.
All right, so I got a quick question here. I'm pretty ignorant. Is all melon like the equivalent of it being 100%? Because you're acquiring all of the rarest melon in the game, or is there more that you could do beyond just all melon for a quote unquote 100%?
The other collectible is the power hearts, which are the big red hearts that I collect. However, in my run, I choose not to get all the power hearts because it is more fun to route a run where you don't get them all. Reason is the way power hearts work is the more of them you collect, the more levels you unlock in the next world. And so I only want to collect as many power hearts as I need to get to like the next fastest level, you know? So in this case, I'm going to 2-2, so I only needed a minimum of 1 power heart. And that's really cool for routing purposes because you can like, you know, figure out which power hearts are the fastest to like bring you to the levels you need to get to. So now we're starting 2-2, and I need to start talking about the next most important technique. You'll notice sometimes, like when I jump over that blarg, I'm mashing the tongue button over and over again. That's what I was talking about with like the buff tongue. You can do that. So it turns out in this game, when Yoshi's jumping or in the air, every time he changes states from just the normal jump to something else, such as like tonguing, there is 1 frame where gravity is not applied to him. And because of that, if you jump and mash B as fast as you can gain ridiculous amounts of height during your jump.
Eggs are especially useful. Thanks to infinite eggs, you can egg throws to add.
And so we can avoid the need to flutter in many areas simply by mashing B. However, it's really difficult because you have to mash B while holding A. And so just like learning how to do that on the controller is really difficult. Watch this tongue jump coming up right here off the ball. Like look how much height I gain doing that, and it allows me to clear that using just 1 flutter.
Most infamous part of 2-2 is
yeah, so that's like a huge component to this game. And then another really useful thing, actually something's coming up that I want to talk about. There's this skip here where I do several flutters while eating the melons that the Shy Guys are holding. This is like really intricate how this is done and how we managed to do all of this without falling in the lava right here.
Speaking of flutters,
so, you know, if you're used to Yoshi's Island, that probably looks pretty nuts, right?
Yeah, dude, you barely made that, yeah.
Yeah. It's especially difficult because in this game, when you lick, you cannot flutter and lick at the same time. Once you lick, you start dropping like a rock, and you have to wait like a second before you can flutter again. And so the way that works is you have to eat the fruits with like the perfect timing, like around the peak of your flutter, so that you lose like a minimal amount of height before you start fluttering again, in order to avoid falling in the lava. So that's like a setup that has evolved many times over the years. So what was I saying before that? Yeah, another really important use for the tongue is I mentioned earlier that whenever you swallow a fruit, there's like a lot of lag if you're on the ground. You can't move until the swallow is done. And usually to get around that, we just eat stuff in the air so that he like swallows it in the air and you can keep moving. However, you can cancel the swallow with another tongue. And since you can just do like the 1-frame tongues, you're able to like right when you swallow something, you just hit B for like 1 frame and it cancels it with a tongue, and then you can hit the ground and keep on running.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So every time I eat something, you're going to see me like hit B 1 extra time to like cancel it with a tongue before I hit the ground. And that again just adds to the input density.
That's so simple. Yeah. Okay. Can I ask a question real quick? When was that discovered? Like, how long did you have laggy ground pounds before that was a thing? Do you remember the year?
The laggy ground pounds, let's see. I think the lagless ground pounds were discovered pretty early on.
Okay.
Just from, I don't know, like messing around and doing general movement. Eventually you're going to be like, whoa, that ground pound, like I didn't get any lag on it, you know? And then you figure it out. It's like, oh, it's because I was right next to the ground. But then The addition to that is if you charge an egg before doing the ground pound and it increases that window for a lagless, that was only discovered like a couple years into my speedrunning career. And that was, again, kind of just like a coincidence, but I think I discovered it like when I was at a GDQ at some point. And the reason for that is when Yoshi is pulling the egg like out of his, when he's like grabbing the egg out from behind him, that like 10 frame window or so, he doesn't have any landing detection. So if you're falling on the ground and then you do that right before you touch the ground, for all 10 frames, it thinks he's still in the air, even though you're like, sort of touching the ground. So you can ground pound during all 10 of those frames and get the lagless ground pound. So it like increases the window pretty substantially. And that has made it go from like 80% consistent to 100% consistent. So now we can get legless ground pounds every time.
Wow. Okay. So now, the thing you brought up just now is you said that you may have discovered the lagless ground pound mechanics at a GDQ when randomly practicing. Are you responsible for all the tech you found so far in the game, or has there been like a community that's been like on the backbone with you discovering stuff as well?
So I wasn't the first person to speedrun this game. So things like the tongue jumping, like mashing B to get height on your jump, that was already known. I think legless ground pounds like were already known, not like the technique I came up with to make it more consistent, but there were some general techniques such as that were known about the game. But all of the vast majority of the more minor optimizations and ways to like really let Yoshi keep his speed, such as like canceling the swallows, and other various intricate things that you do, like the timing to throw an egg like while jumping so you don't lose speed while throwing the egg. That's mostly stuff that I figured out like through the years of me speedrunning the game. It's only now, like in the past year or two, that there is a larger community where some people have like contributed a little bit more with like some minor discoveries for like saving more time. But for the most of Yoshi's story lifespan, it was pretty much just me working on this stuff.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, please continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you talking about that while you had a boss fight that lasted like 4 seconds. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, the bosses are like really lame in this game. I think pretty much all the players agree. Like you just have like a quick call on all of them, and it usually just involves like throwing eggs at the right time or, something along those lines. Like Yoshi's Island bosses are so freaking cool, man. They're all like really unique, and they all have like their own unique method of killing them. Yoshi's story, for the most part, is just like throw eggs at them, and then there's one that you just like eat to death, and that's about it. Yeah,
you're not wrong.
Yeah. This level coming up is probably one of the hardest levels in the game. It has these like flying piranhas that eat you, and if you get eaten, it's a 10-second time loss and you lose all your eggs. So watch this really tricky tongue jump I do off the info block to like avoid this guy and get up here and get 6 eggs. I need exactly 6 eggs in this room. In order to basically finish up the room. So I take damage on this guy on purpose, for instance, just so I can save that egg. Once I start pushing the box, it gets a little bit more relaxed. But it's still, that initial segment with like those flying piranhas is incredibly difficult to get past.
Explain to me here. You zoomed in earlier here too. What is the zoom in doing for you?
Oh yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. When I zoom in the camera, it actually affects the spawn timing of enemies. It makes enemies spawn sooner, and so I can like affect the cycle of enemies coming at me by zooming in the camera. That's normally used for like a sniff mechanic, so you can like kind of sniff the ground and discover hidden items. But I obviously know where all the hidden melons are, so I don't use it for that. I just use it to zoom in the camera, which like makes things spawn sooner. And that's also a relatively new tech. That was discovered, I think, less than a year ago.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and that one was by me as well. And since then, I've been like looking for places to use it throughout the run. In order to like. If you normally have to like wait a split second or a second because this enemy cycle's like, or platform cycle is awkward, and then like try zooming in the camera at like a specific time and see if that helps, and usually it does. That's a very recent optimization.
Okay. Now you bring up here that the vanilla utility of sniffing is to find hidden items, including notably hidden melons beneath the ground that you do pretty frequently, right? Is there like a pattern to where the melons would be beneath the ground, or is it just like really random? You'd have to just like sniff out and memorize where they are.
It's completely arbitrary, and that's one of the reasons that like casual all melons in this game is so tedious, because you just have to sniff everywhere in order to find stuff. And most of the time, all you get is like a couple coins. So they put those everywhere when you're really like looking for the melons, and it's just like so obnoxious.
Can I ask you? All right, another question here, because now on that note, are you getting literally every melon in the level, or is there an excess of melons that you choose not to get slower melons that are elsewhere?
No, there are exactly 30 melons in every level.
Okay. That's good. Well, maybe that's good to hear, because I can only imagine that the routing nightmare that would be to like figure out, what melons to keep and drop and whatnot if there were extra.
Yeah, well, you do that in certain any percent routes, like any percent in all levels when you're eating the other fruits, because it's like, this fruit is sooner in the level, but is it worth skipping because it takes like 0.3 seconds longer than this fruit later on? So things get pretty interesting there, like from a routing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing about all melons is, what happens if you accidentally eat another fruit instead of a melon?
Actually, I was going to ask you about that. What happens if you accidentally do that?
You got to die and start the level all over. There's no
no way
there's no recovery. Nope.
Damn.
Nope. You can't barf it out. You just got to start over.
Dude.
Yeah. Not just that, but if you accidentally despawn a melon, then it's not coming back, and you got to start over.
Now, what do you mean by despawn a melon? Like, as if it comes on screen and you don't get it before you walk off screen, or like?
For instance, if you like, there's some melons where you have to play a tiny little mini game, like collect the 5 coins before they disappear in order to get the melon, or hit this block 10 times, like, before time runs out to get the melon, or like carry the stack of melons to the finish line. So if you mess any of those up and like it goes away, then there's no way of getting that melon anymore. And yeah, in some cases it's more rare, but in some cases if the melon just goes off screen, then you're not able to collect it either.
All right, we'll go quick here. I want to ask for like 2 worlds now. Okay, you're going to particular levels. I would expect you to just go to like 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, but you're going to particular levels for these melons. What is what's going on there? Why is that what's one of the decisions here with the levels you're picking out?
Those are just the levels where you can collect the melons the fastest. Because in order to beat this game, you only have to beat 6 levels. As you can tell, every time I beat a level, I go to the next world, and so. I'm just going to pick the level in each world that has the fastest completion time for all melons, and that's effectively what's going on here.
Okay. So so there's like it's not like you're getting every melon in every level. You're just getting all the melons in the fastest level in each world. Is that correct there? Okay.
Yeah. Except the one asterisk to that is this is a 2-lap run, and 2 laps means I'm actually going to beat the game twice and play different levels each time. So you have the 1-lap run, which is the shortest, and that's like 20 minutes long, and that's just play 6 levels, beat the game. This is 2 laps, so you beat the game twice, and then all melons, all levels, so all 24 levels, that would be a 4-lap run. You have to beat the game 4 times in order to get like all 24 levels.
Now that sounds kind of like, I take it that's not a popular category because it sounds pretty long, right?
Yeah. And that's the one that actually there's only like 2 completed all melons runs, and that's almost 2 hours long. I think with my current skill, I could do it in probably an hour 45 on average, and then world record would probably be like 142. But yeah, that's still pretty long, and that's historically the run that I've like submitted to the GDQs and always gets rejected. Like I think in part because of its length. It'd be different if the game was like mega popular, then maybe it would get in, but for a game that like doesn't really get attention and then it's like a 2-hour run, I can see like why it would be rejected. And so this 2-lap run, which sounds arbitrary because it's like the 4-lap one, it's like it makes sense because it's you beat every level, and then the 1-lap run makes sense because you're beating the game once. This is a 2-lap run, which like sounds really arbitrary because you're beating the game twice.
I was actually going to ask about that question, but go on.
But really what you get is you get to play all the best levels and skip out on all the worst ones. And so while it's an arbitrary category, like you can just call all the categories arbitrary anyway. This is pretty much the way to like maximize all of the coolest stuff in the game while keeping it sub-hour and like not having to deal with any of the BS, like the water levels and stuff like that.
Okay. No, hey, I love it, dude. I completely respect it. A minor anecdote here, but when I wanted to get into speedrunning, when I was considering speedrunning, and for first casually playing Donkey Kong Country for Wii, the one where you have to like waggle the Wiimote in order to roll.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna play this vanilla, man. I'm gonna boot up the homebrew mod. I'm gonna use a Wii classic controller because fuck using this waggle shit. And the game, I was feeling the game. I was like, yeah, I might speedrun it actually. But I didn't even care about the fact that World Record Competitive or that the leaderboard banned the use of homebrew. I was like, no, I don't even care. I just want to speedrun it because this is what I would enjoy. I would not enjoy it with waggle to roll being the thing I deal with day in and day out. So I totally understand.
I totally get you.
Team fun. Just do what you enjoy.
Yeah. That's, and when it comes to like Yoshi's Story with like kind of the arbitrary types of completion, the game doesn't actually track your progress like Yoshi's Island does. You don't have like a completion score on every level or anything like that. So, it's all pretty arbitrary in the first place. So it's kind of just like do what makes for the best run. And that's what it's been kind of all about for me. It's like, how do I maximize the enjoyment out of this game, both for me playing and for people watching? That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, by the way, a speedrunner named Michael Goldfish, who's known for like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze and stuff like that. He was the former Yoshi's Story any % world record holder. Like that's like he played this game before I picked it up, so that's pretty cool. We have a little connection there.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a 7-degree separation. Like I like that.
Yeah.
What else I want to ask here? I had a thing earlier. I forgot it now because we went on a little tangent.
That's fine. I'll bring up one other mechanic that I haven't talked about yet. When you flutter, how in Yoshi's Island you can get the high flutter by bouncing off an enemy?
Yeah.
In this game, you can do a high flutter literally just by holding up on the control stick while you flutter. However, it is not strictly better than a normal flutter because if you do a high flutter, you have to wait a much longer time before you can flutter again. So like you lose all the height you gain from the high flutter before you can flutter again.
Mm-hmm.
And also Yoshi has like worse horizontal movement, and so that means that both the normal flutter and the high flutter are like important in their own situations. Coming up, there's an autoscroller where you have to like ride this platform on a track for a while, like while you get all the melons. But we're good enough now that we have like this really intricate skip, which you're going to see now, just using like fancy flutters. Problem is in this particular run, I actually mess up the skip. Like you'll see right here, I missed that melon, and so now I have to like clutch out a recovery here without actually accidentally making a death. You'll be seeing that now.
Okay. Whoa, man. Yeah, you barely made that back, but I see you.
Yeah. Also, fluttering in this game in general is just a little bit easier than Yoshi's Island. Like maintaining your height using flutters is a little bit more consistent to do. And also, we have very slow but very reliable techniques of not losing height or gaining a tiny bit of height during the flutter. So if you're like deep in the bottomless pit, like about to hit the death zone, then you could use like this very slow, reliable technique and spend like 30 seconds like climbing out of that hole if you want to avoid taking a death. So it's a slow backup, but we at least have that back in this game.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the first Bowser fight coming up.
So it's when you get all melons, the level's over, and you don't you just teleport right over to the boss here at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Is out of curiosity, is there any levels where you actually make it to the very end? Is there like any given route that actually forces you to go to the very end of a level?
Yeah, in fact, All Melons basically does that because, of course, Nintendo wanted to spread the melons like throughout all of the levels. Bowser's dead, by the way. The point of like All Melons is to kind of force you to explore every corner of the level. And so that's, another reason All Melons makes for such a great run because you actually are like seeing just about every corner of each level.
The beauty of 2-lap is that you get to play all
Whereas like in any percent, you're at most seeing like half of the level and usually seeing like a third of it. So
indeed.
Yeah.
So that's lap 1, right, of the 2-lap, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what I do is I reset the game, I start over, and then we're back at World 1, and this time through I'm going to play a completely different set of levels from last time. So we start with 1-3, and then we're gonna move to 2-1, and so on. So the levels you're gonna see now are gonna be a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah. Now in 1-3, in this first room in particular, I make like a lot of movement mistakes, and you know, it's hard to catch like how awkward kind of Yoshi's controls are when you're seeing like a speed run. But when you watch me make these mistakes, like it gives you kind of a glimpse of like the awkwardness that like you're actually working with. And in this game, it's like you usually don't lose runs to like a big mistake. It's usually like a small mistake that like escalates into a big one because you can't get your movement back on track. You know, you stumble around until you like eventually die or like eat the wrong fruit or something like that. Like right here, for instance, I'm going to be like trying to climb these red balls, and like I'm going to be messing up the tongue jumps and like missing tongues and stuff like that because it's like, you know, so analog and slippery to work with Yoshi.
No,
I get through it though. So that was just one example. This room is pretty cool coming up. You're supposed to like ride these clouds on tracks in order to like get all the melons, but I have like this crafty technique, and you're gonna see me like eating melons off screen and stuff like that. Like there's one there, and then there's one here, and then I bounce off this ball to get out of that room. One thing I haven't talked about yet is the super happy fruit. Every 6 melons I eat, a super happy fruit spawns, and that's kind of like the superstar in this game, where Yoshi's invincible.
Yeah, invincible. Yeah, briefly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just invincibility. His tongue is twice as long when he's super happy. So oftentimes you are like, you know, tactically getting the super happy fruit so you could use the extra long tongue to get melons that are normally out of reach.
Oh, okay.
It has a couple other advantages as well. Like flutters are a little bit easier, egg explosions are bigger, and when you ground pound, it kills Shy Guys. So it has like you're going to see me ground pound right here to like kill the Shy Guys, and it burst the bubbles as well. Yeah,
all on screen AOE effect. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
The extra long tongue is the most.
I just said AOE effect.
Yeah.
Isn't there a word for that when you do that?
Watch right here. I'm going to like flutter past all this complicated rail stuff and just get to the end. I'm going to come back for those melons. You'll see exactly how I do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to end the level here. I'm going to use the extra long tongue. Ooh. See how long my tongue is now?
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm going to YOLO and eat these last 2 melons.
All right. I see you. Spicy route. I like it. It. If I may here, though, so one thing I wanted to bring up here way earlier, you're using a GameCube controller. I, for some reason, thought you used N64, and so I'd love to hear your insight into GameCube versus N64 controller.
Yeah. Well, I'm playing on Wii Virtual Console, and so you'll notice every time I reset, you see that you will need the classic controller screen, like right here. You know, obvious indication that I'm playing on Wii Virtual Console. Virtual Console is faster than N64. Both consoles get a buttery smooth 60 frames per second, which is like incredible for N64, by the way. So few games got 60 FPS.
And you are not lying there. You can say that one getting on with caps lock enabled.
Yeah. But every time there's like a screen transition, you know, when I like go in a vase and like you get that like page turn animation, for instance, that is extremely laggy on N64. And because of how many transitions there are, the lag on those actually outweighs you will need the classic controller screen for Virtual Console, and you end up saving time on Virtual Console.
Oh my god, dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And the other reason I play on VC is just I like the GameCube controller more for this game. It's way more comfortable, you know, because your thumb sits on top of like the rubbery stick, and you're like hitting straight left, and you know it's 2D. You're smashing left and right.
Are you saying the 64 controller is not the pinnacle of comfort and ergonomics?
Oh my god, dude.
No, I think that's no surprise there, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, people still prefer it, you know, and people play Yoshi's Story with it. But even when I play this game on N64, like I had to for the Japanese version to get world record for the Japanese version, I got a adapter to use GameCube controller on N64. And I double checked with the Japanese community, and they allow that, so I'm not like cheating.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, that was another thing. For a while I was just playing this game myself, it turns out that there was a fairly thriving Japanese Yoshi's Story speedrun community, and they would do like monthly races and stuff like that. And I just had no idea because, you know, they're buried in like Nico Video and stuff like that. Like, they're just like really hard to play. Yeah, but you know, I eventually came across them. And I was like, okay, I guess I got to beat their record too. So I did.
Went in there as the cocky foreigner and showed him what's up.
Yeah, but here's the other crazy thing. This is really only with very few games in general, especially for speedrunning. The Japanese version of this game has different mechanics for Yoshi himself. So
Really?
like you have to like relearn a lot of muscle memory if you play the Japanese version of this game. It's really bizarre. A couple obvious ones are if you're licking on the ground, you cannot jump while your tongue is out. Can you believe that?
So you think that was like
So-
a patch that was changed done between J's release and USA's release? Or
Yeah,
sorry,
Nintendo of America was actually like pretty upset with the like, you know, like the quality of this game, and so they delayed the US release and like kind of like until a bunch of like fixes and changes were made to the game. So Yoshi actually like controls differently in US, and you generally have like a little bit more control over him.
So in your eyes, the Japanese version, like give me like your salty opinion here. Like the J version, Yoshi controls like a tank, and you feel like you're piloting a cruise ship or something like that, or like.
Here's an interesting example. In Japanese, if you eat something while in the air, Yoshi has like his swallow animation, like while you're eating something. You know, if you land during that swallow animation, the game won't let you jump again until the swallow is done. So it's like you eat and then like it feels like you're stuck on the ground for like a second, and the game just won't let you jump until like you're done swallowing. But on top of that, in the Japanese version, you continue moving while you're swallowing. In this game, you just stop short, and you never really see it during this run because I cancel the swallows anyway. But in Japanese, you keep on moving. So what's happening to people is like they eat something and then they like land and they can't jump again because they're swallowing, and then they just like slide into the hole or something like that. So it feels like even more slippery. It's really bizarre.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but another strange thing is in the Japanese version, if you do a lagless ground pound, it is even more lagless. Yoshi doesn't do the flip animation. It's literally just one frame ground pound, and then you move on. It's really crazy.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, if after this we play like the any% run that I linked you, that's on the Japanese version, and so like you'll see that in action too.
Okay.
Oh, this level is so weird, man. You have to like ride these worms.
Yeah,
like, through
it's
the
actually a
clouds.
level I remember the best out of the entire game. I just remember you ride the little, I call them pixie sticks. I don't know what they're actually called.
Me neither. But they're like so slippery, man. Like that's there's ways that you can like lose the run amicably, and then there's like some ways that you're just like, wow, that was total BS. And this is definitely one of the BS ways.
What? Because the hitboxes on these on the sticks are kind of.
You just like slip off. Like it doesn't understand like when you're standing. Like I don't know, it just like makes you arbitrarily slip off if you don't like have a really good strategy.
Well, since we're seeing the last level you want to show in this particular run here, I got the staple questions for you here. What is the two questions? And you answer them in any order you want here. One, what is the hardest level in this game? Or I guess related to this category. And two, what is the saltiest, most frequent reset point you encounter when running 2-lap?
That's a good question. The hardest level is probably 4-3. It's the one with all the piranhas that you saw earlier.
Okay.
If you were paying attention, there's just like so much junk all around the screen. Like as I played through that level, like all these platforms you have to like get the cycles on. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mean to like stop this run after this level. We should keep going because there's a little bit more I want to talk about.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but aside from that, my saltiest reset point, I feel like, I don't know, man. Like I've been running the game for so long that I expect to make weird mistakes at weird times. The point at which I really get salty is if I go for like an hour and then, like I can't get past like the second level, you know? That happened to me the other day, and it's just like it can be really disheartening to have like a bad day, you know, because you just want to get a run going and you can't even do that. So that's like when I get salty.
Okay, so now we can get into some philosophy here, because now you give me the hot stuff here. So
yeah,
what will make you want to reset? In general, it's like because your run's already so good now, you're trying to get a world record. So the minute you're no longer able to PB or get a world record because your run's already so good, because you have such a small margin of error, that's when you would reset. Is that correct?
Most of the time, it is not about the time loss itself. Sometimes it is if like, you know, a bunch of small mistakes really accumulate to like a huge time loss. But for me, it is more often if I fail a certain trick that I really want to pull off in the run, then I reset.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But part of that is probably because like I'm so proud of like some of the tricks that I found that like I really want them to be in like the record run, you know?
Oh no, for sure. I totally get it. Like
even now, All Melon's 1-lap, which is the category that like I'm mostly focusing on now. The former record was 20 minutes 38 seconds. I have enough new strategies that I can get that down to like sub 1940, so I can save a full minute on that run. and I've already gotten like 1956, 1952, but I'm like not even submitting these runs because they're like not up to like the standard of everything that I want to pull off in them yet.
Dan the perfectionist, or dare I say, no, more accurately, Dan the tryhard. That's what I. now we're
okay.
Now we're punning in style. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, I find it interesting. I always love to hear from speedrunners like what like how they approach resetting. Is it best to just like do a couple of runs in routine just to keep the routine going and then try to go for bread and butter optimal, or do you just like, are you just relentless on like what do you want to nail? So it's always good to hear from you.
Understand. Yeah. And about resetting in general, because you were saying like things, you brought up like getting salty and stuff like that. The way I view like my speedruns in general is that not every trick is 100% consistent, and a lot of them are like maybe, for example, 50% consistent. So if I fail a trick, I don't feel like it's my fault. I mean, like in a literal sense, it was my fault, but I know that it is not 100% consistent. And the only way to get the run where I nail all the tricks is to just keep doing more runs, because from like, a statistics / probability perspective, I will eventually get the run if I just keep playing. And that's the way that I look at it. So even if I fail something on the last level, like on a good run, I'm not really upset because that wasn't the run, and I will get the run if I just keep playing. That's how I see it.
No, I think that's a very healthy perspective and outlook to have on that kind of thing. You got probability wise, if you want the run, you got to do a lot of runs to get the run. So keep running.
Yeah.
Now on the inverse of that, if I can here, what is your favorite level?
My favorite level is 2-2 Blarg's Boiler. Again, you saw it like really early in this run, but that level is just
that sick ass lava gap. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so technical. You never have to stop moving as long as like your movement is really technical. And so I just love that level because it's so much fun to play through. That goes for both all melons and any percent actually. There's a technique I haven't brought up yet. Coming up here, watch me push this box and then look how fast I turn around off that ledge and then turn around again in order to push this box. Like you saw how quickly I was able to turn around, right?
Mm-hmm. Actually,
you don't have to like wait.
Actually, you know what? We are synced right now. I could just replay that.
Yeah. Just go back right here. Watch, I push the box, and as I go off the ledge, I'm instantly like flying in the other direction.
Oh, yeah, that was really quick.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a pivot, and the reason that works is in this game, when you start fluttering completely overrides your momentum, and it just like does like the fluttering speed. And so what you can do is you can fall off a ledge or jump and flutter in the opposite direction for 1 frame. And it will like override your momentum and like make you start going in the other direction instantly. And so that's another thing that we like tactically use. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I got another question. Okay, so you routed all melon to lap, correct?
This is your all of the all melon stuff was routed by me.
Gotcha. All right, I gotta ask you about like this whole like. When you were routing, do you ever have this moment where like you're trying to make it all add up together? You have a pretty sick route, you run into this one obstacle that just kind of ruins the synergy, and then you like clutch out. You're like, if I can just solve this problem, if I can just make this melon, there's this one melon, it's out of my super happy tongue, radius or whatever, and I can't make it work. Has that ever happened to you yet? Where you can skip a whole thing, but you just need to figure out how to make it work. Can you tell us any story about that? Overcoming these obstacles?
Yeah, I do have a story for you. And that's probably happened in small doses like throughout my speedrunning career, like when I was routing. But my best memory I have of that was really, really early on. Like it was probably within days of me like running this game / like routing all melons. I was in 2-3, and there's this one melon that like you try to do your high flutter, and it's like the platform is barely out of reach. So the only way to get it is you have to spend 30 seconds like pushing a box over and like using the box as a footstool to get up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But then, by the way, can you pause the video right here? Because I'm going to want to like talk about the next level after I'm done with this story.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I started messing around a lot, and I don't remember how I figured this out. It was literally just like messing around with Yoshi's mechanics. But this was when I first discovered that thing I mentioned where when you're in the air and you like switch states, you don't have gravity for a frame. Mm-hmm. I noticed that if you spam egg throws while jumping and fluttering, then you gain extra height. And so I figured out, like, instead of pushing this box over, which takes like 30 seconds, you jump and you do the high flutter. And if you throw 3 eggs at like specific timings, then you can reach the platform and get the melon. It was at that moment that I realized that like Yoshi's Story was probably going to be a pretty damn cool game to run. Because before that, like, I still had my doubts. I was only like, I was a few days into messing with the game. But it was when I discovered that I was like, this game definitely has like, a lot of diamonds in the rough here, or whatever the expression is. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can dig up in this game. So that was like the turning point for me really early on.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mentioned I was going to talk about this level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting into brand new territory here, like literally probably past 6 months. It was theorized a couple of years ago, but when you hear it, you're not really going to believe it. At the beginning of this level, there is a Lakitu who throws like these spiked balls at you, but he has about a 1 in 10 chance of throwing a melon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's some pretty shitty odds.
Yeah. He has 5 melons in total. So you already know what I'm getting at here, but you would normally have to just like kind of wait for him and like linger by him until he just finally drops like all 5 melons, and then you can move on. Sometimes it takes like a minute for him to drop that last melon. It really, really sucks. But then a couple years ago, a friend of mine who like also ran this game for a while, he was like, you're resetting the game after every level. When you reset the game, doesn't that also reset the random number seed? And could it theoretically be possible to manipulate the RNG of the Lakitu if you take the exact number of footsteps at the exact time intervals to roll the RNG to exact precision and just make him drop 5 melons in a row? Is that possible to do? And of course, you know what I'm getting at. The answer is yes.
Oh shit! All right, okay.
Completely ridiculous. RNG manipulation. It's one thing in like RPGs where you have like it's not like an action game where everything is moving every frame.
Right.
But to see RNG manipulation in like a platformer game, I think is probably almost unheard of, like outside of Tassing. And so this is probably one of my proudest discoveries in Yoshi's Story, and being able to route this out and get it to like high consistency.
Oh boy.
So you can play the video now, but you're gonna see me start the level, and you're gonna see me take like an exact pattern of footsteps and do some like weird movement, but you're going to see the Lakitu drop 4 melons in a row, and then 2 spiked balls, and then the 5th melon. And if I get all the footsteps exactly correct, then and other movements, then he should give me that exact pattern, and I can move on with the level and save like 25 seconds.
All right, let's see.
Then 2 spiked balls, and then the 5th melon once he's across the pit. And to finish it off, I get a bounce off the Shy Guy.
And that was it right there. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to pause real quick here. Okay, so here's what I want to know. All right, because I don't want to miss any more here. I want to make sure you tell me the whole thing here. So, like, how long did it take you, and what was the process like to go through what I would imagine would be dozens of possibilities to find the winning combination?
Oh man, it took forever. The first step in something like this, and this is getting into slightly more technical territory. It helps to have a decent understanding of like how games work when you're doing something like this, right?
Would you dare say that having a little bit of some game dev experience helps?
Maybe, but maybe more so 20XX dev experience, because it was like the melee modding and the reverse engineering of the game that kind of like taught me some of these ins and outs. Specifically how like RNG works. And the way that RNG works, this is a tiny tangent, but I'll be quick.
No, go for it.
So when you first turn on the console, you have, say, a die, right? The die always starts on the same number. Now, every time the game needs to generate a random number, it rolls the die. However, it's not truly random. The die roll pattern is the same every time. The reason it appears random is that like early on in the game, it derails really quickly. Is it going to be used for your footstep noise first? Is it going to be used for this visual graphic first? Is it going to be used for like some other random thing first? You normally can't control that. And so, like the die starts to very quickly derail off of that predetermined path as it's like being used for different stuff. But if from power on, you do the exact same sequence of random events in the same order, then the die gets rolled the same every time, and you're able to control the RNG. So that's kind of how RNG manipulation works in a nutshell.
I understand.
Yeah. So the first thing I had to figure out was what actions in the game actually use the RNG. And the first most obvious one is that I figured out is Yoshi's footsteps. Every time Yoshi does the footstep on the ground, it makes a sound effect. And that sound effect, it doesn't just play the same sound over and over. It picks like a random footstep noise to play. And so you can roll the die by doing a footstep. So that was the first thing I figured out. And then there's a couple other actions that do it as well, such as like ducking. Like when you come out of the duck, Yoshi like picks an idle animation, so that uses the RNG. So after I got an understanding of like how the RNG was used, I was able to kind of, I had like a little bank of actions I could perform to roll the die. So now it was like, okay, let's start the level and do one footstep and then wait for the Lakitu. Now let's do 2 footsteps and wait for the Lakitu. Now let's do 3 footsteps and wait for the Lakitu. And I had to see every single time, like, what does the Lakitu give me? Does it give me the melon, which is the dream? Does it give me 2 melons in a row, which is, an even greater dream? So going through all of those possibilities, up until like the point where I want the Lakitu to start dropping the melons, it took a really long time to do that, basically.
And then finally here, just to stress, like if the Lakitu doesn't give you the 5 melons, there's no other melons to make up for what you didn't get there. Like you have to get that pattern. Is that, or am I understanding that incorrectly?
Yeah, if I mess up the pattern, then I can wait for the Lakitu to like come back around and just randomly drop stuff until he like finally gives me the 5 melons.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm gonna.
But it would be so
I can,
slow that it like is irrelevant anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna lose like at least 30 seconds doing that. So nailing that pattern is not only really cool, but it's also just a huge time save because of that.
Okay. Now the last thing, just for framing here, when was this RNG manipulation discovered? Like when was this added into the modern routing for all melons or melons?
It was theorized a couple years ago by a friend of mine, and I was like fairly inactive around that time. But around 6 months ago, when I really wanted to start pushing like the all melons times down, that was when I like really sat down and like routed it out in a way that is like usable and consistent in run.
Okay.
So
was there a period? So there was a period where you would do like all melon or all melon 2 laps, and you'd have to like just pray to the RNG gods for Lakitu to give you 5 melons. Was this a thing at one point? Oh,
yeah,
dude,
for the majority of this game, literally up until like less than a year ago, like 6 months ago, that's what it was.
RNG hell, dude, not like this. Oh my god, dude, dude, that's some strong parallels with Yoshi's Island, actually, if you recall.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because, dude, 100% speedruns for Yoshi's Island were a giant meme until 2012.
The bonus
ring, we thought it was random, and we were like, well, fuck, dude, here comes 5 to 35 minutes of bonus challenges per run. Omega LOL, what kind of speed game is this crap? And then, even bigger Giga Omega LOL, freaking, then it gets, the skip gets discovered. And then, the time went down immediately from 3 hours and 12 minutes to 3:07 to 3:02. Like, just like, crazy, 10 minutes plus being chopped off in a week's time the minute that skip gets discovered. So
yeah, you actually have more on me there, because for you it was every level. For Yoshi's Story, it's at least only one level, and the most you can lose is probably like 30, maybe 45 seconds if you're really unlucky. So, like in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't too terrible, especially in like the full All Melons 2-hour run. It's like, okay, you can take the time loss.
All right, well, I can go ahead and unpause it now. So
This feels amazing.
Sure.
Good to hear that, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, up ahead, I'm going to use the cloud to enter a pipe. Because
This cloud's kind of weird to me, and seeing Yoshi run in place of it. So it's kind of like a conveyor belt, or I guess that's what I'm trying to call it.
Yeah. You saw when I went in the pipe there, the pipe just like slurped me up right away. That was a recent discovery by, I think, Artemis just a few months ago, where if you go in the pipe at a certain angle when you're on the cloud, then you save like a second of animation, where it normally has to like takes a lot longer to go in the
slip
pipe.
you in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. That mini game is just shows you kind of how much easier fluttering is in this game. It's like I can lose so much height just by using my tongue strategically to get like more distance on the flutters, and I can still like just easily end.
This is a really hectic level, but it's pretty linear, so it's all about...
This level is also like really densely inputs. Like you'll see some, some cool stuff around here.
I also need to make sure I have 6 eggs going...
Just to like make Yoshi not stop moving throughout like any of this. Another really important thing when Yoshi's super happy, by the way, I neglected to mention this before, you have infinite eggs. So you noticed that like earlier on I had like no eggs, now I have 6 because if you charge an egg and cancel it, then it gets added to your inventory when you're super happy. So you can generate eggs as well. And if you're good, you can like learn to do that without slowing down.
Really destroys my hands.
Watch this. There's some crazy fluttering patterns here. I flutter and I charge and cancel egg charges during the flutters to get extra height during the flutter in order to like make it up here without having to like go the intended way. That's like really difficult to do. Like get your flutter timing while charging and canceling egg throws. Now watch this. I get this boost off the enemy.
Oh, shit, dude.
That's also a recent discovery. You should go back like 10 seconds and just watch this whole sequence.
I'm going to rewind. Let me see this shit again.
Yeah. A little bit more. All right. Yeah, watch. Look at all of the inputs here. Ground pound, turn around, eat those melons, ground pound again, and then get the boost on this enemy.
Ah, dude, so good.
And I know I'm talking about it like I'm bragging, but I'm always just... This is like stuff that I've come up with, and I'm always so excited to share it with people because like I'm still really excited about it, that like it's possible to do that stuff in this game, that I always like talk about it really excitedly,
No, dude, Yoshi's hype, man. You're talking to me. I'm the last one who's going to tell you otherwise. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
Ooh, dude.
That's it for fun. All right, yeah, but now we only have one more level left in this run. So, the talking about the run itself is going to slow down a little bit. So, if you wanted to get into some general conversation, we could do that. Okay. The only thing I need to talk about in this level is at the very end, there's an Autoscroller Skip, which involves, like, you jump down into a pit, and there's these 2 Shy Guys with, like, torches on either side of you, and they move, like, really, really slowly, and you have to stay in between the torches, and it takes, like, a minute and a half to get through the whole section. But you can jump down there, and then jump back out of the pit using like height gaining techniques that were unintended, because it's supposed to be too high for you to jump out, but you can get out, and then the Shy Guys like despawn and they don't come back. And it was only recently that I figured out how to get that 100% consistent as well. Previously, sometimes the Shy Guy would like corner you against the wall and you wouldn't be able to do it, but at this point we have it 100% consistent. But that's like at the end of this level, so if you want to bring up anything else while we're waiting, then
okay. Well, yeah, so there's have I asked you this question because we haven't really dove much into the philosophy component of your speed brain here. What's been your source for motivation, like to because you brought up here notably that there wasn't there's not really a thriving scene for Yoshi's story, but like what's inspired you to like push Yoshi's story so far or keep you running it, I should say.
My earliest inspiration was, I love this game and I want to share my love for it because it has no attention and I know you can do some really cool stuff in this game. So I want to figure that out and I want to like show it off basically. That was my original motivation. And that still kind of carries through to today. If Yoshi's story had a thriving scene and was super popular, it's less likely that I would have picked it up because I just have to be like a hipster like that, right? But
dude, someone clip that, please. I finally got the truth out of him now, boys.
Oh my god, dude, don't clip that out of context.
No, hey man, that's the Twitch lifestyle right there. That's all I.
I know. I'm not used to it. I'm not an entertainer. I'm just like a weeb who talks about this stuff sometimes. No, but actually, it's because it's not the running itself that has always motivated me. When it came to Yoshi's story, the biggest motivating factor was the routing. I feel like I would never have gotten into a game that already had like a really highly established route. And that like all of the joy that I've gotten, or the majority of it that I've gotten out of Yoshi's story, has been from the routing. It's like I get a world record, it doesn't mean much because there's like not really that much competition, and it like makes me happy to get like a really solid run. But my true like moments of pure excitement, and I think you can hear it in my voice when I'm talking about it as well, is when I discover cool new things. Dude, then I'm super excited. I'm like, I have to share this.
Are you me? This is like your.
Is that the same?
This is verbatim. But yeah, this is why. This is actually why I never found getting into like Mario 64 very appealing, or SMW, because I was just like,
Right.
I hop on that game, it's just a giant to-do list of get good. There's no like discovery to be had. That's kind of why I never got into those. I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep trying. I'm just gonna discover more things in Yoshi instead of getting into those popular speed games, I guess.
Right. And of course, those games do see new discoveries, but it's so much less frequent that you see them, and there's like so many people looking for them, and oftentimes with those games it's like people who are reverse engineering the game and things like that, and so it's like a different experience than just figuring stuff out by playing. And didn't you do that with Odyssey? Like when you first picked that game up, didn't you just see how much stuff you could figure out on your own before really going on?
I was an asshole, dude. I was selfish. I was like, look, because like, here's what happened, right? I mean, just if I can go on a minor tangent there.
By the way, sorry, the Autoscroller Skip is coming up, so I'm just going to pause for a second. Watch, I jump down here. I take damage on purpose to prevent that left shy guy from moving forward, and then I throw eggs while fluttering to get out of this pit, and then they despawn. And now you'll see when I come back, they're going to be gone, and I can just breeze through that whole section.
Now, how much time does it save, actually?
That saves a minute and a half.
So is the entire time you're on this like conveyor belt thing would be them, flanking.
They just like walk really, really slowly, like through this section, and you have to stay between the flames.
Okay.
But you could just like run full speed through it now.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. No big deal because you can use. That's crazy.
But yeah, I interrupted you about Odyssey. You were saying that like...
Oh yeah, because week one, people were like right away speedrunning it. They weren't even like pretending to enjoy their first playthrough of the game. And I was like, well,
yeah, of course.
So because I actually wanted to like enjoy it, play it, beat it, maybe do some post game content because I didn't know what it involved. So I spent like I think 2 to 4 days just going through the game and doing everything I wanted on a first try basis without reading any guides or anything like that. And then I started looking to speedrunning it, self-routing day 5 onward. And mind you, by day 5, people already have like a pretty good idea of what were like the 70% of the game's fastest stars, fastest moons already were. And you're right. I was being selfish. I was like, no, fuck that. I want to have a thorough understanding of the game because that's what I would enjoy most so. And I want to do my own routing to compare to what the community route is. Is it effective? Probably not. But is it fun? Very much so. And I speedrun for fun, so that's what I did.
Yeah, true that. And I think I missed out on like a lot of that, general segment where you were doing that like self-routing stuff. But when I did see it, it looked like you were having a ton of fun. And when you figured out like minor optimizations, like you were hype about it, and it reminded me so much of the way that I feel when I'm figuring stuff out in Yoshi's Story.
Indeed. All right, well let's see here. So you want me to play you want to play this other one here, right? This
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. This one you can keep the audio muted because I'm like talking in that video.
Okay.
And now that we generally know how the game works, I'm not going to be talking about quite as much in this one, but it's just for the sake of having a background video and maybe showing off a couple more things. We might as well be playing it.
Okay, well, we can get into the hot stuff now because I got some questions here that are a little bit more long-winded that I'd love to get into. So you're bringing up your joys of routing here. So I'm hit you with the good old the classic that I like to do here. I like to think of speed running as generally 3 big clusters of mechanics and discovery, then routing, and then grinding for the execution. Right. So I'd love to hear you break down like. Because there are some people who generally are like, they're all about the grind. They're trying to blast through mechanics, discovering, and routing so they can get into the grind and get into the runs. Because for them, the thrill of running is what they live for. Others, I feel like you're more like me on this one here. Others are more all about the routing, the assembly of like, once you have all your pieces discovered, your puzzle pieces, it's all about figuring out the creative ways to assemble them all together to form your puzzle picture, I guess, for lack of a better metaphor.
Yeah.
And then you have finally, the other people who are, and this is a big minority here, but the ones who are all about the mechanics and discovery, which I probably would dub best being the glitch hunters, perhaps. But yeah, I'd love to hear, your breakdown of like the 3 phases and how much you enjoy of each of them and how much you think you actually partake in the 3 proportionally to each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd love to. First, go back until the end of this level because I was just reminded of something that I wanted to show off here. This was
for the backers is good.
I think that's good. Yeah, my any percent optimizations were like a lot tighter because it's a much shorter category. But the stuff that I figured out, like it felt so cool when I did that. Like, I just want to talk about one of them here. So watch when I'm going to move up to this pipe here. Pause the video real quick. So I mentioned how on Japanese I can do, when you do a lagless ground pound, it's literally one frame, right? Mm-hmm. So here's what I'm going to do. So before the pipe, I eat 3 watermelons, I jump, I tongue to cancel the swallow, do a lagless 1-frame ground pound on the pipe, jump up to get the power hard, move forward, do the pivot turnaround, like the instant turnaround. So I'm pushing against the left side of the pipe, do another ground pound, cancel that ground pound's lag by pushing against the pipe, which is a mechanic that I haven't talked about yet, but you're able to do that. And then finally, like jump and turn around, eat a couple of watermelons out of the air, and then move on. So this is like probably one of the most input dense things that you have to do. Not just in any percent, but probably in Yoshi's story in general. So yeah, go ahead and go back like another 5 seconds and just watch the whole sequence.
All right.
And it's any percent. So like we ground pound to turn Shy Guys into fruit, and gives us like really fast ways of beating the level. Boom, boom, and we're on our way. So it literally takes like 1 second, but like, you heard all the actions that I was describing in order to make that possible. It's like really, really dense.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. Perhaps what's actually kind of crazy there is like how much of that went over my head. I actually didn't. I feel like it's like one of those games where like Yoshi's Island, it looks really fluid, so it's really obvious when you're doing a lot of hectic input intensive stuff, whereas here the game just casually has like a clunky movement system, and your goal is to just make it appear smooth, if that makes sense. So that's like where all the effort goes. And so when it looks smooth, you're like, okay, like it looks fluid. What you even do, like
the number of inputs it takes to get to that point is like ridiculous. And then the one other thing I want to mention before talking about the topic that you brought up is in the next level, you're going to see me zoom in the camera the entire time. So I have to hold R through the entire level. And the reason is I'm playing on N64, and this is like the one level that lags on N64. And so in order to reduce lag, I zoom in the camera the entire time, and it saves about 2 seconds. But I'm taking that 2-second time save for any percent. And it's like such a short run. But that's something that like destroyed my hands to do this.
Because this is where GameCube is like super not ergonomic to be used in this way.
Yeah. Also, when you're holding R, you can't run. Yoshi can only like do this really slow walk, so I have to spend the entire level in the air as well. That's enough about that. You could just watch. So we were talking about mechanics and discovery versus routing versus grinding. We already kind of talked about like where this is for me, and it is pretty similar to you, where the purpose of the grind and ultimately getting the final run is to show off all of the stuff that like we've come up with, largely it's been me for the first few years, but now it's like also kind of collective as a community. That's the point of the end result, really. It's not like look at my time. It's like look at all these like tricks and cool stuff that we've discovered. And so the mechanics and discovery, that was like there's a little bit less of that now, of course, because we have a really solid understanding of Yoshi's general mechanics. But the first like couple of years, that was huge. It was like especially the first year, it was so much messing around with stuff. And when I was first routing like all the melons and all the levels, it's like it was a real challenge figuring out like exactly how Yoshi interacted with the world and different enemies and like in all these different scenarios. And so there was like so much mechanics and discovery going into that. And then the routing is something that, continues to evolve even today. Like when we come up with these new tricks or skips, or it's like, there's this auto scroller here, but we're really good with flutters now. So maybe we can like figure out, like a way to bypass it, stuff like that. That's the sort of stuff that still happens today. And it's so much fun, like really critically analyzing the run and being like, this part right here, like if you go over the block instead under the block, you can save like 0.1 seconds. So it's like, okay, incorporate that. And then that stuff like really, really adds up. Since our community is really small, it's not like Mario 64 or Odyssey. It's those tiny little pieces of movement that there's still like a lot of those to figure out and just make the run a tiny bit faster. But like 0.1 second time save 100 times ends up being like a lot of time, a lot of time saved.
Yeah.
So
no, definitely.
that's what it's been about more recently, but it's an absolute joy to do that and like really push these times down further. And it really shows because the the last any percent US record was 11:53 until we really pulled that apart, and we saved 30 seconds over that time. So the record is now 11:23. But that shows you how many tiny optimizations can like make such a huge difference. And then, that happened with All Melon's one lap as well, where it was 20:38, and now like we're going to get it down to like 19:38. And that, of course, is partially like the RNG manipulation and a new Autoscroller Skip, but there's also still just like a lot of tiny optimizations that make a huge difference as well, where we're like saving a lot of time. And that's definitely the greatest joy and probably the most time spent. Whereas the grinding is just like, okay, like we have this new, like all this new stuff, let's like show it off in a run.
Damn. Okay. So now you brought up here a little bit on that routing tangent. Is there anything right now that you like known unknowns? Like, does that make sense? Like there's like unknown unknowns, but the things that you don't know, but then there's also things that you know that you don't know at this current time that could potentially be the biggest like, thing that gets busted open with more discoveries that make it have a better understanding.
There are a couple big things. So if you remember in this, 3-1, in All Melons, there was a sequence where I was like riding this big dragon. Mm-hmm. That's another autoscroller, and that means you can flutter past it if you're extremely good, or if like, the melons are in the right spots. That is something that we may not be able to save time during it, but we just really, really have to critically analyze it, and we might be able to save time. Because there's like all these melons at different heights. So there's like a low melon and then a high melon. So it's like, how are you going to flutter through that and still like get all the melons you need, while like saving time over just taking the dragon. So that's like, a pretty big challenge that I can see us like really diving into in the future and maybe saving time on that auto scroller. And then the other thing that we haven't done yet is work with the Secret Yoshi'S. The Secret Yoshi'S are only relevant in multi-lap runs, like, 2-lap or 4-lap or whatever, mostly 4-lap, so all melons, all levels. You can get secret white and black Yoshis in this game, and they have some special properties, the most important one being when they're super happy, they can flutter as fast as they run.
Oh, well, shit.
And so you can fly. And so a lot of these segments where you're like, fluttering several times in a row to like cross a gap, if we can bring white or black Yoshi to there and get like a super happy fruit, then you can like breeze through those and possibly save quite a bit of time. By quite a bit, I mean like, by the way, pause the video right here because I want to talk about this for a second. But by quite a bit, I probably mean like, like a few seconds, but that can, that once again, that can add up if we like really work white and black Yoshis into the route. But our rule for that is you can't like unlock them and then do a run because that's kind of like New Game Plus. You have to get them during the run. And so then it's like, what are the fastest white and black Yoshis you can get? And we kind of already know that.
Real quick, can you remind me again? How do you acquire the black and white Yoshis? I actually don't remember how you get them. Are they hidden in the level?
They are hidden. Yeah, they're hidden in a couple of levels. 2-1 has one, 3-2 has one, and then I think there's another world too, and another world
not every level
that
has
have
one.
them. No, okay. But once you collect it, you have it like for the rest of the run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to talk about, just rewind a little bit until like before I enter this room.
Gotcha.
This was one of the big any percent optimizations where normally in this level, and by the way, this is interesting because Yoshi's Story has sort of like these open exploration levels where it's not just left to right, it's like you spawn in the middle of the level. You spawn in the middle of the level and you have to like choose where to go. This is one of those levels, and this level has like these huts that you can go into, and this is one of the huts. It was always thought that you had to enter like a minimum of 2 huts in order to get 30 fruits, but it turns out that if you very specifically eat fruits in a certain order so that you can get 6 fruits in a row, eating 6 fruits in a row of the same fruit in a row spawns a super happy fruit.
Okay.
And when you have a super happy fruit, you can ground pound to turn Shy Guys into more fruit.
Right.
So in this room here, if you kill and eat these Shy Guys in an extremely specific order, making sure that none of them despawn like during this movement, then you can leave this room having eaten 5 watermelons in a row. And then coming out of this room, you can eat the 6th one and then get a few extra fruit from ground pounding the Shy Guys. So all of my movement here is extremely specific. I have to make sure the camera goes in an exact spot so that when I ground pound here and they turn into fruits, if these go off screen, they despawn. So I have to make sure wherever I ground pound, all of the fruits stay on screen and I don't scroll the camera the wrong way as I'm doing this. So you can go back to ×1 speed here if you want. But I'm going to finish up eating these fruits, ground pound one more time, and I eat them all in an order so that when I come out of here, I'll have eaten 5 watermelons in a row exactly. And now you're going to see, so now you're going to see me come out. I'm going to eat the 6th watermelon, get super happy, and then these Shy Guys here, I'll be able to turn them into fruit as well. And those extra fruits are what we need in order to save the trip into another hut, which like takes a really long time because there's like the screen transition and all of that.
Right.
So that saves like a good 10 or 15 seconds.
Dude, the routing. When you can just like cut out an entire section, thanks to like some random, I say random, but some like clutch optimization. That's the routing that I live for right there. You're just like, I can cut a whole section now through pure routing. That's the boys. That does a spicy meatball. I don't know, I'm going this impression right now.
I mean, that's what it felt like. And the camera has to be so specific to like not make things despawn that I learned that was known but was thought to be TAS only. Yeah, but I had no idea. I just like I theorized it and I was like, let's like really figure this out. Like, what are the exact movements you need in order to like keep everything on the screen and make sure you can get 5 watermelons. But it felt so good to not only figure it out, but like figure out how to do it fairly consistently as well. Because I would have like 50% consistency or worse, because stuff would like despawn if the camera wasn't perfect and things like that. So it's like you have to really figure out like an exact movement and timing pattern to make sure that doesn't happen. If you make a movement error, then like things start despawning and that'll be it for the run.
I understand, man. When I was trying to speedrun the Yoshi Crafted World demo, I learned really quickly I had to figure out how auto aim works in this game because I was just missing 8 shots and I didn't understand why. Like the aim reticle wasn't even like being accurate and telling me like when I would fail or win. So there comes that point where just blatantly you desire that knowledge just to build consistency in the tricks you want to execute. So I feel that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see like where you bring Crafted World with that stuff.
Well,
not just you, but I guess like the community.
Now I'll put you on the hot seat because I got the other hot question for you here. Now that you've gone on this one here, so Mr. Dan, I'm gonna need your drum roll opinion on other Yoshi games. Which ones you like, which ones you don't like, all that good stuff here. Because
oh man,
so it means that yes, we got to talk about Yoshi Island DS and Yoshi's Island on 3DS.
Yeah, and I don't have experience with every Yoshi game, so I'm gonna have to skip over a couple of them. But my favorite Yoshi game from a casual perspective is probably Yoshi's Island. Like when I take everything into consideration, like design, the point in history at which it came out, like my experience with it, everything. It's like I've obviously put the most time into Yoshi's Story, and it is the closest one to my heart. But then I look at Yoshi's Island and see like what they accomplished in 1995 and how that was practically like the leap forward into like what is now known as like modern 2D platforming. The number of leaps that game made into that territory. It's just like absolutely incredible from a design perspective. And because of that, I have so much appreciation for it. And I think that probably pushes it into being, along with the creativity behind like all the levels and the bosses and stuff like that. That's probably has to be my favorite Yoshi game.
Oh, well, very, very compelling to hear about all that. All right, well, I didn't ask this question for the regular takes. I asked you for the hot takes here. So let's keep going. All right, Yoshi Island out the way. Next one. All right. What about?
Yep.
What about these other Yoshi games? What about have you played Yoshi's Island on DS from 2006?
No, I've seen some of it. My sister owned that game and she played through it, so I saw some of it through that. From what I saw, like I had no reason to immediately dislike it. But this was also before, like, I was like younger and maybe my perspective on games was a little bit different. But I have no reason to dislike anything about it until like people start pointing stuff out, and maybe I'll be like, oh,
man,
yeah,
I will. Dan, if you tell me you're willing to play it, I will, and you just gotta play it once. I will mail you my 3DS capture card and my copy of Yoshi Island DS overnight shipping. To just
oh my God.
just to see your. I just need to, because until you play that thing, you don't know what you're getting into. People think I'm too harsh in that game. I'm like, no. You only think that because you have not played it. Play that game and then let me know let me know if you're still playing it in 40 minutes. Real talk.
Yep, I would give it an hour for you. I would.
I get at least an hour, dude. All right. hey, boys, you heard it right. Clip that one, because this might happen on April 1st. I might have to get an April Fool's stream going here.
All right, sounds hot.
Now, but because I'm a gentleman, if I gave you that homework assignment, I would allow you to assign one. Holy, what? Why you have so many melons? What is going on right here? What is this, dude?
Dude. When you're super happy, you can ground pound it and turn them into fruit. It's that easy.
I thought those were background enemies. I thought those were like background NPCs, dude.
Oh no, those are actual enemies, and that was like why any percent was kind of like, you know, people didn't take it seriously, because it's like, oh, all you got to do is just ground pound and they all turn into fruits, and you just press the win
button.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like the way it was perceived for a while.
Okay. But I'm a gentleman though, so I will happily, if Professor Hex assigns you a homework assignment, aka 1 hour of Yoshi Island DS minimum, I would allow you to assign me a homework assignment. I don't know.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I'll come up with something.
So figure out something, and if we can make it happen, we'll do some April 1st shit show. You know, me versus you thing, and I'll play your trash, you play my trash.
Oh man. That sounds like a deal. I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, just gotta figure out what you want to do. And clip it and remind me the week before, so we actually can get it all going in time and everything. Okay, so Yoshi Island DS, so now I would actually rather save my inevitable tangent about why that game is a hot pile of garbage for another time. Next game, Yoshi's Island on 3DS, which I think is called Yoshi's New Island, or whatever.
I have even less exposure to that game, but I don't know, man. It's, you know, it's kind of the cold take, but like the visuals turn me off so much in that game.
They do.
Yoshi's like animations, like he's so stiff looking, like when you're running and jumping and fluttering and stuff like that, you know. I think they modeled the visuals of that game after their original conception of Yoshi's Island. You were talking about the other day how like the Donkey Kong Country pressure made Nintendo want to make like 3D graphics for Yoshi's Island. And you see in the intro sequence of Yoshi's Island, you see like that kind of clay looking Yoshi. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. The opening cinematic that has like where it resembles like the pre-rendered graphics that are similar to Donkey Kong Country. Yes.
Yeah. I think that was kind of the visual inspiration for Yoshi's New Island, because, you know, it like is sort of a similar aesthetic to that. I mean, much more fleshed out, but it's sort of like, it kind of looks like clay, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I'm not really about the aesthetic. That's the most I have to say about it, because I haven't like explored that game either. I missed out on that, I guess we want to call it that.
Okay. Well, the thing about Yoshi's Island on so here's like my I can give you a little bit here. I played that game for like, I think maybe like 3 hours. I don't even remember, dude. Like I haven't touched it since. I was just like really bored of it, and if I played it again, I could probably bother to reassemble a list of complaints I have about that game. But I think it's pretty evident that it's not a hot take to say that the game is pretty unpleasant to watch or play. But one thing I can say here is that, and at the core of the philosophy of Yoshi's Island, or Yoshi games in general, it's a platformer where you're meant to make eggs and then shoot eggs to accomplish stuff and to shoot stuff, right? In order to venture further towards your goal with 100% or whatever. And I find it very counterintuitive to have Yoshi just pull a Mario and just like, you know, become Jumbo Yoshi. Like you just run into a mushroom. Now you're Jumbo Yoshi. Now you can just run forward to win the level. And it's like, you make your eggs completely meaningless. And I find that at its core conception to be counterintuitive to like what would lend itself towards being good level design. Because now the level design is irrelevant. So I hated that Yoshi would just get big. It seemed lazy. You're just copying Mario. You're not giving Yoshi the distinct things it had before, and I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I understand that, and I like the even in New Super Mario Bros. That had me scratching my head a little bit because I understand that it's satisfying to turn giant and literally just stomp through the whole level, crushing everything in your path. You know, that's like a good like 10 seconds of feel good right there. You know, so maybe from a casual perspective, like that is all right, but I think the issue comes in the way in which it's implemented because it's like you either don't get it and you play through all of this carefully crafted level design normally, or you do get it and you just don't experience the level. You know, maybe if the level was built for it and it just gives you like some feel good in that level, that's probably fine because you think about like thinking about like kind of Kirby's Epic Yarn and maybe like Woolly World and Crafted World too, where sometimes you like get into a vehicle or like you turn into a robot and you just get to like blast things in your path as you like go on that little autoscroller, like that's satisfying. Like when you're playing through it casually, it feels good to do that. So it's like, it sort of feels like that's what they were going for, but it's like, you're missing out on the actual level with the implementation that is in New Super Mario Bros. And also I guess Yoshi's New Island. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you did that one. All right. Next game. All right. Yoshi's Woolly World, which which I know you've played, I think.
Yeah. Well, I played a little bit of it. I didn't finish it or anything like that, but that's because the experience that I wanted to get out of Yoshi's Woolly World was not so much the experience of a Yoshi game. Yoshi's Woolly World was sort of like a sequel in spirit to Kirby's Epic Yarn. That's accurate to say, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. And I played through most of Kirby's Epic Yarn, actually, and I really, really enjoyed that game. I was so charmed by it. And that has nothing to do with, like, the mechanics, or, like, the challenge of the game. It just had to do with how incredibly cute and, well-designed, like, aesthetically it was. And when each new level, like, gives you some new cute thing that just, like, really charms you and makes you smile, like it just like really had me enamored for that, and I just really loved going through it for that reason. That's a game that like I would love to play like casual co-op, with someone else, maybe even someone who like doesn't play video games much, because the like you can make that game as like as easy as you want, for lack of a better word.
Right.
I really enjoyed it for all of that stuff. There's nothing wrong with designing a game for that, because it's like still it's a great experience in its own way. Woolly World was probably inspired by that as well. Where there are like mini challenges for collectibles, but if you wanted to, you can just kind of like waltz right to the end of the level. Right? Is that accurate?
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. You could just it's pretty. It's pretty vanilla. I'll get into my critiques of it whenever you're done giving it praise.
Right. Yeah. Well, you have a lot more to say about it than I do, but the experience that I would want to get out of it is probably, again, either just appreciate the aesthetics and the cuteness, or like play it co-op and have fun, like just exploring with a friend and like seeing the fun little things that you can find in the game, and seeing like what each new level brings you, like the new fun thing. That's kind of the type of experience I would want to get out of Woolly World. Of course, you're someone who like took the game a little bit more seriously for a while. Even in co-op, you were thinking about like doing co-op speedruns and stuff like that. So your critique, I'm sure, is going to go in a different direction that like I'm not considering here. But I'm just letting you know like the type of experience that I would want to get out of the game and the way in which I would probably have a lot of fun and enjoy it.
No, and you are correct in that. I mean, your perspective on it and what expectations versus actuality are going to be a little bit different here. But what I will say is that I've also matured a lot since then. I have not retouched Woolly World since I last probably played it in 2016 when it came out in 2015. But also I'm a much more well-balanced, my balanced gamer diet is much more of a wider palette. Because prior, you got to think here, when it came out in, I believe, October 2015, Yoshi's Woolly World, I had only played, Yoshi, DDR, Melee, and what was the last game I'm forgetting here? I had it too, I just forgot it. Yoshi, Melee, DDR,
Jet Set.
Mario Maker, I guess. That's what I was trying to say. I don't even know, but like either way, like I was very monotone. I didn't play other genres of games much. It was pretty much Yoshi Island as my specific platformer, and then like freaking a platform fighter, and then rhythm games periodically. Not much else comparatively to now, where I've ventured out and I've played Dark Souls and puzzle games, and try to test my logic problem solvingness with like Zelda and shit like that, because I never played a Zelda prior to 2017. So I just have a deep appreciation. I feel like I've been able to just like be less monotonous with my Yoshi Island exposure, so that I'm not so toxically biased in that it's not exactly like Yoshi Island, therefore it sucks. Which I will admit to a fault, I had that problem when I played Wooly. I was like, it's not Yoshi Island, therefore it sucks. But even with that aside, though, there are still other things that kind of irk me in terms of like the speedrun ability of that game. But that's purely in the speedrunner bias of me, which I have a hard time turning off. So I'm aware that my opinion might be synthetically more negative than what would probably be comparatively your opinion about it.
Yeah, I understand. Well, it's just because we're each trying to get something different out of the game, that's where the differing opinion comes from. I don't think either of us would disagree much on, like, for instance, like game design and stuff like that regarding Woolly World. We want to get different things out of it, and that's why, like, we had different opinions in that sense.
Yeah. But I will admit now, if I just go on a small thing about that, ultimately for Woolly World, speedrunning wise, where I'm with that now is that now that the dust kind of settled a little bit, definitely would have to, if I was ever going to do one player mode, it would have to be New Game Plus. New Game Plus all collectibles, I think is what the category is called, because Yoshi runs really slow in Woolly World, but there's a badge you can get called the Speed Badge. You can equip one badge, I think, per level. There's like a badge where you can make like where you can, for example, it's a badge where you can ground pound and make all on-screen enemies eggs, for example, or something like that. I don't know. You can ground pound and make all enemies do X badge. There's a one where you can make Yoshi have, like, I think, fire breath rather than so you can like tongue or emit fire or something like that. I'll be making them both up here. I don't remember actually. But point is that the really important badge is the one where you can make Yoshi run faster. It might be like 25 to 40% faster or something like that. And like that, just having Yoshi run faster makes that game so much more enjoyable. You're just like, why is this hidden behind a freaking badge you get after you beat the game? I wasn't really a fan of that. So point is, New Game Plus, purely just to get the badge so you can run fast and do other things with it. But then you stack on that with the with co-op, because when you have two Yoshis, you can just do like way more shit. Yoshi 1 can eat Yoshi 2 and then spit Yoshi 2 upward, and Yoshi 2 can flutter off of like a up spit from the Yoshi 1 in order to like aim the egg and reach shit you wouldn't be able to reach otherwise. Things like that. So like co-op has a lot of potential, and then New Game Plus gives you a lot more options with that potential. So co-op New Game Plus is the hotness I thought would be worth exploring. Just I never really pursued it because, at the same time I had, thriving competition for my time, like Mario Maker. So
yeah, dude, it's a huge time sink to like basically route something, almost from scratch like that. I mean, of course there's going to be normal like routes for that game already, but especially like something like co-op, there's so much to mess around with, and it just would take freaking forever to really optimize it.
Yeah, it took us like freaking, I don't know, probably like, I want to say like 20 hours of practice just to get like, the first half of World 1 to a decent, like, to a point where co-op actually was giving us profit versus one player playing well. And it's just like, oh man, we're going to be on fucking on Wooly forever, dude. It takes so fucking long to get to that point. And eventually just me and my boy Steve got disinterested. It was like he wanted to, like, his Falco was getting rusty on Melee. He wanted to push out. He wanted to get back on Melee a little bit more because it was becoming too time consuming. And I was like, yo, well, I agree. Mario Maker's fucking lit right now, so I'm gonna keep pushing Mario Maker at this time. And we kind of just shelved it ultimately. But it's all good though. Anyways, I'll get into this like at another point. We can talk about Wooly another time here. We're talking about you and Yoshi's story right now. So, all right, got that one done, and then now I got to hear about the future, man. So you got to give me here. We have a demo of Yoshi Craft World on the Nintendo Switch eShop. Tell me, how do you feel about it? If you played it.
I think that You have a lot more experience in it than I do, yeah, because you're like exploring speedrun opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm not because my speed game is Yoshi's Story, and that's what it's going to be for a really long time. I'm not gonna be interested in Yoshi's Crafted World or any other Yoshi game for speedrunning just because it's Yoshi. Yoshi's Story was just a special case because of like all that background that I gave you previously. However, I am going to play through Yoshi's Crafted World, and I'm most likely going to, do it co-op with my roommate. And we are going to have a great time with it and enjoy it a lot. Once again, Nintendo does not cease to amaze with the aesthetic and like the ways that the game makes you smile, that's the thing that I like most about Nintendo. It's like this sort of magic that they imbue in their games, and I know I'm going to experience that with Crafted as well. And I'll get to do so with my roommate, so I'm going to have a great time with it in that sense. And I'm going to watch your speedruns as well, of course. I'm going to enjoy it in that sense too.
Yo, I can't. All right. So if I can go on a minor tangent here about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you got to see me play day one, because no one knew what was happening, right? The demo was a complete surprise from the Nintendo Direct the day it came out. So I hop on Crafted day one, totally blind, not planning, not having any like preconceived thoughts about like I need to buffer and for the greater good of Yoshi community. I need to like make sure I'm putting on a good show and not be negative. No, I got no pregame for any of that. It was just here's a demo, play it now, and my initial impression was very negative. I'm just like, oh my god, dude, it's so gimped, man. You make eggs, you lose speed. You aim eggs, you can't move. You can't move while aiming. There's auto aim. I don't get how this aim is working. I'm missing. I'm hitting shit. Oh, it's so basic. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, all right, it's got that woolly thing going on with me again. I'm not really feeling it. I remember my first impression being very negative, but I was like, all right, you know what though? For easy YouTube clout, I'm just going to do a speedrun of it anyway, because people are going to want to see this regardless. So I'm just going to deliver on the new Yoshi game getting speedrun, even if I'm not really feeling it right now. Right.
Yeah.
And oh dude, I got the biggest debate of my life, dude. I start trying to speedrun it. I start trying to optimize it because I'm playing casually, right? So all I'm getting is all the clunky movement. But then when I try to speedrun and I'm trying to figure out how to make the movement fluid, dude, it's like I'm getting a rush. I'm getting that that routing boner, and I'm just like, yo. The more I pushed, the more it gave. I'm like, okay, well, here's how you figure out the auto aim. You figure out how to aim from the, how do you aim in the background without losing much speed? Moving the aim cursor is really slow. So it's all about like positioning Yoshi in the right way, where you're doing the minimal amount of aim cursor movement to hit your targets. I'm like, okay, all right, we got a little bit of strat going on right here. Then you find out if you just press the fire button right away, that your auto angle for pressing hypothetically your one frame of the fire button is a perfect 3 o'clock shot. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, it's a perfect line. They give you the perfect 3 o'clock shot line on a neutral auto aim. Okay, that makes linear shots very inviting to do, because you can just do that ahead of time.
Yeah.
And
that sounds like Yoshi's Story. It's the same 3 o'clock shot, and the trick is to position yourself first, and then just fire a neutral egg and lose as little speed as you can in that egg shot. Yeah, man. And it was just like before I knew it, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm in now. I keep finding more and more shit, and then before you knew, I ended up pumping what probably was almost 20 hours into the level 1 speedrun. And I finally nailed everything I wanted in the run, including those really hard ass shots on the choo-choo train. And now I'm addicted, dude. Now I'm just like, really, all I'm waiting for now is just more levels to try more things out, because there's nothing in level 1 in the demo, for example, that's testing you on your flutter capacity. Like everything's there's no pits really threatening you in the entire thing. But yeah, right. I learned a lot about the unique collectibles you're looking for throughout the level. You're not just shooting, you're not just getting enemies and shooting eggs. You're acquiring collectibles that may assemble something, in this case a train, and who even knows what it may be in later levels, that you're going to be building or assembling via being collectible parts. So yeah, the game is looking really exciting. I'm just really hyped, and I'm hoping it has stellar level design. That's kind of where Woolly World fell apart for me. By World 4, you've seen everything. There's no new tricks. You're just every level just feels kind of bloated and repetitive of shit you saw from earlier in the game.
So,
Oh, I see.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
but mind, it's my biased opinion from 4 years ago, so I might be wrong, but that's
Yeah,
my
well,
feeling.
I also understand, like, the games that I have enjoyed the most, especially like platformer games, are the ones where every level really feels like it gives you a fresh new experience. And usually that's something that like Nintendo really excels at, you know, like that's why Super Mario Galaxy 2 was like, you know, pretty much my favorite 3D Mario platformer. Felt like every level was something brand new. And I mostly felt that way with Kirby's Epic Yarn as well, which was another reason that I enjoyed playing through it.
All right, so we got I got 2 questions left for you here because we're coming soon on time where I can give you your
Yeah.
So the next thing here is, all right, so devil's advocate kind of sort of maybe here. Anything you wish you could change in Yoshi's story? Is there like one thing you wish you could change? I know you're probably conditioned now to just like, you know, you're happy with the game you're playing, but was there once upon a time where you weren't so content with how things were and you were like desiring for like this one thing you wish you could change? Or is this
Well, let's talk about this. And I was like actually wondering if you would like bring this up when we were talking about the different Yoshi games. You know, I thought you might actually end up asking me like, what don't I like about Yoshi's story? You know, I feel like that's, you know, add that question to your list, ask it to your speedrunners because it's like a really fun thing to talk about. That's a different question from. Was that?
No, that's a fair point. I'll keep that in mind for future episodes.
Yeah. And that is a different question from what don't you like about the speedrun? You know, those are 2 quite different things. Disliking something about a game and disliking something about a speedrun. Because, you know, like for a speedrun, it can just be, oh, I wish this one mechanic was a tiny bit different so that I can use it in this way. For the game, it's going to be like, I wish the level design was different. You know? And that's I feel that way about Yoshi's story. And I've talked about this before, even with like other Yoshi story runners. But this is a game where like, it's very strange how Yoshi's Story is a game that's literally designed to be a like, you know, a collectathon of sorts. The goal is to collect 30 fruits in order to finish the level. Why is it then that the vast majority of levels in this game are still just like left to right? When getting to the end of the level is like not productive and not the goal. That's something that I've always wondered. It's really cool when you're put in the middle and you have to like explore. I was gonna
say you probably are getting at the point where you're saying you wish that levels were less linear and you kind of started like in the middle and you kind of had like forks in the path to divert out to maybe.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with speedrunning. This is my like casual player like game design analysis because it almost feels like they designed the mechanics to be like that, but then most levels are still left to right, and you know. We could talk about like what the development of this game maybe looked like, but the point is that you know, I think that it could have benefited a lot more from having more like open exploration levels. But to go along with that, again, this game is designed around collectibles. So why are there no collectibles, and why does it not like track your completion progress? You know, for a game that's supposed to have replay value because you beat it after you like play 6 levels. Why is there no like greater goal to strive toward? That's pretty strange for like 1998. You know, it's like by then it feels like they've pretty much already like moved past like get the high score and that's it. You know. So that was another like kind of design issue that I had with this game where I would love to see if there was just an indicator that you actually got like maybe all the melons in a level. Just that's like the minimum thing that I would ask for. But past that, I just wish there were more collectibles. The only collectibles in this game are the melons and the power hearts. And the power hearts you're like forced to collect if you want to unlock more levels.
I never realized that. There's no red coins. There's no hidden coins, is there?
Yeah, no red coins. There's no stars. I mean, in Yoshi's Island, that's like your health, you know, but there's like no stars. And then even the flowers in Yoshi's Island are optional. You know, the equivalent in this game would be like the power hearts. But again, those are required if you just want to access certain levels. And so that's not even like an optional challenge. So in that sense, it's like, you know, that's one reason that this game feels like there's less content than in Yoshi's Island, not only because there are fewer levels and fewer bosses, but because there are just like no actual collectibles. And the different fruit types don't matter either, you know, except that they give you like different amounts of score depending on the context. But again, people aren't going to be playing this game really to try to get a high score because it's 1998 and we've like moved past that high score mentality.
Right. Okay. Well, you brought up a very valid point. I will definitely keep in mind dislike in speedrun versus dislike in game for future ITSs. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Co-host.
Yeah.
Co-host Big Brain. Okay. Well, I have one last question. It's a pretty doozy one.
All right.
If you're ready for it, and then after this final question, you can feel free to go into a closing monologue and anything you want to bring forth to advocate for others to if your core purpose here is to make people want to play Yoshi's Story, you can feel free to talk about that. Mm-hmm. So the last question I have for you here, Dan, is now I've been hitting you with the hard balls left and right here, man. This one's it's out here, right? I gotta know.
All right.
What is best color Yoshi in Yoshi's Story?
Oh, dude. Light blue.
Dude, no, are you serious right now? No way.
Yeah, dude. Light blue is Internet Explorer colored. I gotta say it.
That's actually the color I like. The sky blue color. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What a good color. It's like why does yellow even exist? For example.
Now people are now hang on. I want to clarify because someone's going to probably hit me up with a super hard read right now. Tri-hex, you use pink. You use pink and yellow when you played Ultimate briefly. I use those colors because they were the loudest colors in a very muted game that I needed as much visual stimuli around my character as possible. So I would use pink or yellow there. But I actually like light blue the most. So in case you're
all right, there we go.
So yeah, no, light blue, pretty dope.
Yeah. Here's the unfortunate thing in speedruns: you got to pick green Yoshi.
Because cursor starts on green Yoshi.
That's not the only reason, but you notice when you pick the Yoshi, they like run off the side of the screen before the level starts.
Oh, so the lowest.
He runs off the fastest.
Dude.
Like how ridiculous is that? We can't pick other Yoshi colors because it takes them longer to run off the screen.
Dude, that's
so silly.
That's dumb.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
We do it for marathons if there's like a donation incentive, but like come on, man. I wish I had my Yoshi color variety while doing runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of. I have to give it that, man. Speedruns where you can flex a cosmetic choice without penalty feels really good. Feels really good, dude. The fact I look at Portal. I'm trying to think of a really good example of where this occurs here, but I feel like in Portal in particular, like you see everyone just like mod their Portal gun with certain decals. I'm just like, oh, dude, that's so fucking cool, dude. Seeing everyone's individuality get flexed. So
yeah, I feel the same way. However, the game does make up for it in one way, and that is if you play a multi-lap run, like 2-lap, 4-lap, whatever, you have the freedom to reorder the laps in any way you want. And a lap is like a collection of 6 levels. So if you're like not feeling a certain 6 levels and you're stuck on them for a while, or you just like want to stay, de-rusted on all the levels, you can start with whatever lap you want. And that gives the game like a lot of versatility for the multi-lap runs. So that's pretty cool. So you have that variety from like a speedrunner standpoint. You can start and end on whichever laps you want.
That's exciting, actually. You know what's funny about that, and this is the last thing here, minor tangent before you get to your concluding statement. If you didn't, actually, Tech was just telling me earlier today that we had some recent footage, some new footage come out for Yoshi's Crafted World, and I'm pretty excited to announce here that we won't have the 80% problem that Yoshi's Story has, actually, where you just like run forward to win, quote unquote, just Babby mode speedrun. Because if you didn't know, in Yoshi's Crafted World, whenever you complete a level and you get, full HP or all red coins, rather than those be the goal in itself, rather achieving those goals rewards you with a flower. So, for example, level 1 doesn't have the goal of 30 stars and 20 red coins. The goal is acquire 12 flowers. 5 of them are hidden in the level. The other 7 you acquire through doing other objectives, if that makes sense. Now, the reason why that matters is in the game, in the vanilla playthrough route, there will be certain points where you must submit a certain amount of flowers to like some machine or whatever in order to open the route up and venture further in the game. So your goal is going to be to acquire the fastest set amount of quantity of flowers through whatever objective you want, honestly, to progress in any percent. So we already have like spicy routing looking like it's going to be a thing in any percent for a Crafted World.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
So that's pretty exciting. It's not just going to be just run forward and end the level and win, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So I'm already
that's great.
I'm already looking pretty. It's already looking pretty hype, man. Looking pretty hype, bro. Looking for it. So it's gonna be. So we got some fucking stellar flower routing ahead of us here on launch week of Crafted World. So I honestly can't wait. So but yeah,
I'm looking forward to it too.
But yeah, dude. So yeah, hit me up here, man. Give us the closing statements here. What do you want to wrap things up with here for me?
Yeah, I don't know. Not all that much to say, except I don't know. This guy had me on his podcast innocuously when I really just ended his whole Yoshi career, showing off this swag Yoshi story run. No, I'm just kidding. I love Yoshi's Island so much, and I'm so glad that in a way, watching your Yoshi's Island runs and now
wait,
again.
I lie. We can't end yet. We have to actually hang on. Wait, someone brought a very great point here. What about GDQ? We watched the video. Tell us about your GDQ ambitions. Actually, what's going on?
Oh yeah, I'm surprised this didn't come up earlier. But yeah, it's been almost like a backseat meme in the speedrun community for a while, where like Yoshi's story never gets into GDQ. I got it in like a bonus stream in AGDQ 2014 when All Melons was still like quite new. Which I don't really count that as like getting in, because that was like old school bonus stream where you just like walk up and play your game basically. But ever since then, I've been like submitting Yoshi's story to like every GDQ, and it's like gotten rejected for years on end, because again, game wasn't popular, 2-hour category. Like I understand why they did that, why they didn't want to accept the run, but that's why I now have the All Melons 2-lap run. Which you watched on this stream. It's sub-hour, really streamlined, shows all the best levels. So after like a little break from my GDQ submissions, I finally submitted this run to SGDQ, and we will see by March 27th whether or not it gets in. But I'm pretty hopeful this year, and I would like nothing more to be accepted and have the ability to showcase this game at SGDQ. Yeah, so that's kind of the background on that.
Dude, that's gonna be sick, man. I hope you get in, dude. I'm looking forward to it. I can tell you now. I'm sad news to report. I definitely won't be at GDQ. I won't be at SGDQ 19. Just because of proximity to Mario Maker 2. Because once Mario Maker 2's out, I gotta I gotta put in that grind. Like I'm in a post Mario Maker 2 world. I gotta like grind the crap out of that game, and
No, I get you. I don't blame you there.
But I very likely will be at AGDQ 2020, just because like they're finally doing it. Like I know you remember me ranting about this back in 2014. I was like, why is GDQ not in the South? Why am I paying to fly where the weather is shit when they could make the shit in the South where the weather is great during the winter? And now they're doing it, dude. AGDQ 2020 is going to be in Orlando, and I'm like, yo, well, I need to go vote with my wallet and go attend, because it's like it's a little 1 hour flight from where I live, but also too, like just hey, I didn't go, I can go now, and I want to go there and enjoy the great weather and do some Disneyland after party or some shit like that. Sorry, Disney World after party or some shit like that. So
yeah, that'll be awesome. But I mean, in that case, in the event that I do go to SGDQ, I'm glad that I got the chance to show you this run today, since you won't be able to catch it there.
This was dude, that was hot. Dude, that was hot. Fucking, all this is hot, dude. Yoshi's story is something else, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
In fact, I would even tell you should probably make your homework. I just play this game, because I actually have not played it. I have not played Yoshi's Story since my initial probably negative impression of playing it casually in 2012 or whatever.
Yeah,
I haven't played it since I've watched you play it ever once. So
yeah, I understand. It was my top choice. I just wanted to see if I could come up with like some other meme game, but it's probably gonna be Yoshi's Story. If you're making me play Yoshi's Island DS, then it would make sense to have you play Yoshi's Story.
All right. And the cool thing is too, I do have I have a J copy on N64, though I didn't know actually it was bad. Not that they were all just the same. It was cheaper than the English one. It's actually a problem now is like the Wii Shop channel is offline, so I'd have to like It gets a little complicated now because I can't just like buy it on Wii, right?
No, but I don't know. We'll see if we can figure out like the best way to play it when the time comes.
Yeah. But
yeah. So don't worry about it for now.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah. Go ahead and I'm sorry. You can continue your closing comments on like why should people get into speedrunning this game or what is the closing impression you want to give on them and concerning Yoshi's story?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to finish up saying that I'm glad that I had the chance to in part be inspired by you to pick up this speedrun in the first place. It's like we're good friends now, but like back in the day, like you were the senpai, and it was pretty true that like if it weren't for you, it's very unlikely that I would start speedrunning this game. So a small thank you for that.
Oh.
And aside from that, I want people to have I want people to speedrun the game that similar to me. It's like this game that you love and you want to figure out how to get more out of it. Even if it's not like the best game. I talked about like the things I don't like about Yoshi's Story's game design, but still a game that was very close to my heart, and speedrunning it has just been like something else. It's been such a great experience and has allowed me to enjoy this game in so many ways that I never thought I could. And I would hope that anyone who's interested in speedrunning will be able to experience that same thing. And if Yoshi's Story is that childhood game for you, then I would love for you to check it out. We're on speedrun.com. Yoshi's Story is doing great right now. It's more popular than like it ever has been, which it's still like it's not a Mario 64, but we have like 8 active runners, which is more than one.
Indeed.
People figuring out new stuff, great community. Shout outs to like everyone in there who's helping out. Lovebot does a ton of awesome stuff for the community. Artemis helping with certain routing. Artie Vivas the World, and then we have Muzz, Fruit, Green Snow Dog. I feel like I have to shout all these people out for just like making it such a fun place to be, and enhancing my own experience as well. After having run this game myself for so long, it feels so fantastic to have these people to share it with now. So thank you to all of them. For anyone else, feel free to find us on speedrun.com. That's where our leaderboards are. We have a Discord server link there. Feel free to stop by. We can show you the ropes. We're working on tutorial videos, have some out already. So if you're interested, then I would love to see you. That's about what I have to say.
There you go, boys. Links in the chat. Get in there. Check him out. You see who's number one. Put some respect on his name, boys. Dan. Dan, Monica's best girl, Salvato, out here.
Okay, hold on a second now. You can't just spring that in between my first and last name all of a sudden.
I'm sorry. I played the game. That's the impression I got from the creator of the game. So I thought that was the valid fact here. But my apologies if I was incorrect.
No, it's all good. If you want the real answer, you're not going to get it. So.
Dude! For a second, you debated the debate there. I thought you were going to actually tell me. Well, if you actually want to know my opinion, and I was like, dude, you're actually going to reveal your what? Let's go. But
oh my god.
No, I no. Actually, I've been trying my best to not derail into anything else other than Yoshi. I think I did a pretty good job I didn't want to like overshadow the intention of like you talking about your speedrunner roots and going into all this other shit that I'm sure you would be a great listen, but is not giving us insight into being inside the speedrunner. Ooh.
Yeah, I understand.
Ooh.
And I know how hard that could be as well, especially like, it's like, at this point, DDLC follows me wherever I go. It's not always a bad thing. That's just the way that it is, And it's always like fun to talk about like the other stuff that I do as well. But you're right that, the topic of this podcast in particular was about speedrunning. So I think we did a great job staying on topic, and there was just so much stuff to talk about. It just worked out in the end.
Yeah. So there we go, everyone. I think that's about as far as I can take it without overextending here past a comfy 2-hour listening session for anyone who's going to not catch this live or anything like that. So yeah, make sure to catch Dan. Dan does stream, by the way. He doesn't live in a cave out in the middle of nowhere doing nothing all day. So twitch.tv/Dan Salvato. Go check him out and follow him if you already are not. He already plugged the Yoshi Story speedrun.com page where you can go over there and check out the other active runners, as well as the other categories, as well as the link to the Yoshi Story Speedrun Discord, where it's a happy, loving community, because they're all so happy because they're playing the happiest, cutest game in existence, Yoshi Story is. So I think that just mechanically all comes together very, very well. And we're going to root our boy on here. So you definitely want to keep your eyes peeled on twitter.com/Dan Salvato, because I promise this man will be screaming to the heavens in pleasure. What day does it get revealed, the results for GDQ exhibitions?
27th, I believe.
March 27th, boys. Mark the calendars. 2 days before Craft World's release, we will know, the planets will align together, and we pray to the Yoshi gods that for how many years now you've been on decline? It's been like, I know it's been an amount of years. I know it's been like...
I've been running this game for 6 years.
No, I'm sorry. How many years have you been getting declined from GDQ?
Oh, well, probably ever since AGDQ or SGDQ 2014.
5 years, boys. I've been on a trapped island, co-starring in the canceled sequel to Castaway, waiting for Dan to get into a GDQ. Please let me shave my fucking hobo beard and finally return to civilization. So we pray, bless RNG, that he gets into GDQ. We look forward to the after party buffet of Craft World on the news that he's in SGDQ 19. That's what we're looking forward to here. So do that.
Oh man, yeah. Thanks for the love.
Absolutely.
And yeah, on my stream, I do play Yoshi's Story more than anything else. So if you are interested in seeing some more grinds, then I would love to see you there. But aside from that,
I'll do that.
Yeah, aside from that, it was great being here. I had a ton of fun chatting with you about this and sharing my love for this game. So I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Nah, dude, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'll see you again soon, buddy.
All right, man. Later.
Later.
All right.